Hello, it's Phillip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. It's always my privilege to review textbooks from Routledge, the Taylor and Francis group. And this one is one we've reviewed before. It's now in a new edition, quite quickly come in as a new edition. It's Unlocking the English Legal System, 5th edition now available, written by 3 people, Rebecca Huxley-Binns, Jackie Martin, and Tom Frost. It's available as a hardback, a paperback and an ebook. I've got the paperback here, which we'll look at. It's also available, as I say, the ebook with a companion website, and it comes to us from the Routledge Taylor Francis group. You can find the link to the companion website through the routledge.com website /CW Huxley Binns, but it's all set out quite clearly in the book. I'll show you that in a minute. Elizabeth and I reviewed this book as we did the last one, and our review title for this book is The First Book You Should Read as an Undergraduate Law Student. And I make no apologies for saying that, because I think that's exactly what you should do. I like the way that they teach this subject, if I can put it that way, through Routledge, and I think this is a very good step forward using new technology. There's the front of the book, there is the spine, and then there is the back of the book. As I say, the new technology is very important. Now, they've very kindly taken a quote from our review of the last edition, where we said Unlocking the English Legal System and its sister editions remain at the cutting edge of legal teaching, as new methods are being developed to bring core legal subjects to the learner in a most different and refreshing way from the past. We welcome the changing interface with the extension of digitisation as online facilities continue to modernise today's teaching practices for law and ease the burden on the student and the tutor. Now, I have to say that's exactly what you're getting here, because I go back to the very old days of the last century, decades ago, where it was a very different type of teaching environment. Today you've got an awful lot, so the one thing you do have to do is be selective. Now, we've got here at the back an index. The index is on page numbering. It's not I didn't find it actually the easiest thing to look at, but I don't normally, with something like this, I wouldn't normally be bothered too much with the index, I have to say. There it is anyway, and then you've got the way that the book is actually structured, of sentencing being the final chapter. Front of the book, there it is. It looks very modern, of course, which it is. It's nice pages, by the way, not flimsy. They're nice and strong pages. There's the information about the book there, including the ebook and everything. And then the contents section. And I'm going to show a couple of things you must look at. It sets out all of the areas which you'll expect for the English legal system, the court structure and so on, magistrates, juries, all of the sentencing, legal profession, judiciary and so on. All the usual suspects are there. And then you've got sample essay questions at the back, further reading and so forth. Acknowledgements. Then you've got the guide to the book. Do read that, because it's quite important to know how to use the book. It's the way in which it's set out, the different colours, the different sections and so on, key facts and all of that information, and then activities. They love activities, so they've got those sample essay questions. Then do read the preface. I'm going to refer to the preface in a minute, because that actually tells you, it's been updated from the last one, but it still explains how the Unlocking series works. Then there's a list of figures. Then you get then abbreviations, very useful abbreviations, because there are a lot of abbreviations that are around, and we need to know what they are. A lot of tables of cases, of course, and then you've got statutes after that. Then you've got the book. Chapter 1, the sources of law. I remember those from rather a long time ago. Aims and objectives. So right at the beginning, what's the aim of this particular chapter? You've got a quotation and various other things. Then it runs through. Then again, very quickly, you get into little blocked out areas to try and make it a bit easier for you to read and understand. And I do think, again, this is the structure of the courts system, how the common law works and so on. And that's how it runs all the way through. Now, that's the new method of teaching, to go with, of course, the companion website. That's the little logo there, which tells you what it's about. I do think that's important because, frankly, there are so many changes taking place at the moment and we have to keep up to date with them. So what do we say about the book? Well, we've said this before, I've done other reviews, but this is my current review for the 5th edition. Law books have developed to a very high standard in the last 40 years as the newer technologies are used in a most positive way to aid learning. Routledge were amongst the first publishers to see the advantages of a companion website to assist a better understanding of the intricacies of how the English legal system works, developing their Unlocking the Law titles to a new generation of students who probably do not realise just how lucky they are if they'd ever seen some of the stuff we had to use in 1970. And I jest not, because there was not very much available, and what there was, some of it was not easy to read. Some was and some wasn't, and I'm not going to go into any of that. But we've got this stuff today and it's pretty good. So we welcome the new 5th edition of Unlocking the English Legal System by Rebecca Huxley-Binns, Jacqueline Martin and Tom Frost for 2017, at a time of massive upheaval in the political and legal worlds. We described an earlier edition as at the cutting edge of legal teaching, with the extension of digitisation to modernise legal teaching, which eases the burden on the teacher and the students. And that's exactly what the 5th edition continues to fulfil in our view with this new, for those new to the law. And that's actually what you're getting. And I think it's very important to be aware of that. May not be for everybody, because teaching methods are very, very personal to a certain extent, depending on what you want. But certainly for the distance learner, the old correspondence course person, you will find that this is actually a book that's relatively easy to pick the information up, memorise it, know where to look for things, and basically be given very good guidance. Now, do read the guide to the book at the front and the current preface. It goes without saying that English legal method and the English legal system are important because they underpin understanding of the development and practice of all substantive areas of law. So this grounding is imperative to see how our system works today with so many changes in areas like legal aid and family matters. And there's a great deal to commend the book and its sister titles for modern teaching, both in the classroom and by distance learning. Readers, I think, will find the self-testing and the variety of activities included in the work highly beneficial for learning outcome goals. Now, I realise that people of my generation won't really know that type of teaching method and scenario, but that's the way it is now, and it's developing. So you have the activities, you have the self-testing, and that's one way of remembering things because of the repetition. So it's as I say, it's not for everybody, but certainly I think for many people this makes it a lot easier to study. The layout is also most conducive, in my view, to the learning environment, where cases are separated out for easy access, and we have sometimes had such a rudimentary system in the past by way of the citation of cases and statutes. So I actually do appreciate today the simple and expedient way in which the authorities are explained here. As I say, going back a bit, it really wasn't the easiest way, and it put people off. I have to say, it actually put people off teaching and learning the subject. It's not the easiest subject in the world, but it's fascinating if you get involved in it. Because teaching law is about the selection of bite-sized sections, so we welcome the way in which the three authors have addressed their task. The result is a most readable and well-structured account of our legal system today, making the subject more accessible by the focus placed on actual learning needs, which the experienced writers have so well identified. And it's because of their own experience, I'm sure, which they brought to bear. Now, this is a fine edition, and it will also be of great help, I think, to people new to legal matters who are unrepresented parties wishing to know more about how the law works in an era of developing public legal education. And I can't stress that too much because, frankly, I meet so many clients who've got virtually no understanding whatsoever of the legal system. And one of the first things I have to do is explain some very, very basic principles to them. And it would help if in the schools there was more emphasis on public legal education and more availability. And that, of course, is for another day, but it will come, especially with the opening of the internet to everyone. The law is as stated on the 1st of October 2016, and it's available as a book, a paperback, as an ebook with an accompanying website. So do have a good look at this book. Let's have another look at it now. There it is. There's the spine and then there's the back. It's a paperback. Nice raw that's the photograph of the Royal Courts of Justice at the front. Opening it in the middle. Here we go. You've got a Court of Appeal. Nice little structure there. It explains how the Court of Appeal works. These are appeals from the first tier tribunal to the upper tribunal and then to the Court of Appeal. So you can see the appeal system, and then you've got, for instance, you've got another structure. This is the criminal prosecution process. Again, it's set out in a very nice way, which I'm sure many people will find extremely helpful. Well, a very big thank you to everybody concerned for producing this book. I do think it makes lives easier for everybody concerned, and I'm delighted to be able to review it with Elizabeth again. Thank you for doing so, and thank you for helping us make it easier for people to understand. Public legal education is going to be a big thing this century, and this is one area where we can help people. Thank you. Bye-bye.